We are back. We are trying to get through the board meeting. We are going to do part 5 right now. And we ended with this gentleman here, who is one of the people that strive to do the right thing all the time. And it's just a damn shame that Trimet doesn't have more people like this guy out there. But I guess that's the way it goes. So let's continue. Right, they had all these other. They had Lyle and Patrick and whoever. What's her name there? And this guy. Who's this guy? He looks familiar. But why were they even there? Why were all these managers there? Who the hell? They didn't say anything. So what are they doing? Look at Lyle. Give him a pat on the back. Lyle's getting gray since the last time I saw him.
Yes, it is. And humbling. Thank you so much. And thanks, Patrick, for sharing this and these examples of what Trimet is and what this great community really is. And boy, we have lots of work to do to take advantage of your talent. So thank you so much. It is truly hard to transition and follow after that. That's pretty powerful. I have a couple other things. I'll keep it brief just for sake of time. It was just to talk about part of my deliverables and the status of that. As I said, I would report to the board on.
Deliverables.
As part of my contract with you, I'm really committed to delivering more effective communication and coordination within the community and our employees, and over the next number of months and going forward. So just to give you a quick update.
Yeah, what I'm hoping here is that, okay, this guy, I would say, all things considered, McFarland was a pretty bad failure. From our point of view, from the consumer employee point of view, McFarland was a failure. But at the same time, he did do what he was supposed to do, which was break the union. And those of you who know the history know that there was a conscious plan made when Fred left to hurt the union member, to hurt the union. They didn't want the union to have the benefits, and so McFarland took that task, and he basically succeeded in that. And of course, he made a lot of enemies, and there's a lot of hard feelings. And he did a lot of things that were unethical in the community, like the stop old fare Nazis, his zero tolerance fare. They went from a decade of leniency on the fares to all of a sudden changing that to a Nazi type of fare enforcement. Not only did he get rid of the fareless square, which was the largest fareless square in the United States, but he then got rid of the zones. So he put everybody on the higher fare and a zero tolerance policy. So they went from complete leniency to zero tolerance. And they shoved the Milwaukee light rail down everybody's throats, even though the general public, didn't want it. So McFarland basically was a failure in terms of the public. So what I'm hoping here is that this guy understands that. And he's coming in now to try to repair some of this damage, and we're hoping that this is what he's actually going to do. We don't know; only time will tell. But I'm willing to give him a chance. I'm not, like I said in my last. I'm not going to start putting penises on his head and making fun of him day after day after day. We'll give him a chance and see if anything changes. Okay.
The budget workshops, the town hall listening sessions, a lot of work is underway finding the dates, locations, and we're actually developing the program right now. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll have information out to you on the details of those budget and public town hall meetings. For the expansion of the TIAC, or the Expanded Transit Equity Advisory Committee, we have, and as Dr. Bethel had reported, we have identified a list of potential participants and reviewing that, and hope to have that out here, making contacts and outreach with people over the next week to really get moving on that as well. as also had referenced specifically under the Safety and Security Committee, and so you saw the rider advocacy side of the conversation today, which is terrific. That will be a really important piece for me under TIAC. So Director Simmons has agreed to participate on that as one of the active board members. And so that list is being compiled and finalized here, hopefully by the end of this week, and we'll get moving on that one as well. We have spoken to a couple, one contractor specifically around the whole equity analysis and review that we're going to do. There's a second outside consultant we're spending some time trying to reach out to. We're very comfortable that work will be done well within timeline as well. The Portland State University update of that work that was done previously, that is underway and will be well ahead of timeline on that one also. And the hot paper ticket transition, that was part of one of the other commitments. It's probably the furthest along. And our marketing outreach efforts, they're already ramping up right now. And I won't go into that because I think some of that was covered off earlier as well. And finally, the employee town halls, where I had committed to doing 5. I actually believe we need to do more, and am doing more, so I've already done 6, where 5 were previously identified, and in fact, probably over the next 3 weeks or so, we'll have completed 12. So I think this is a really important piece of outreach, and I'll bring this back to you once I've completed that, the internal town halls, and specifically with what I believe are some of the themes.
Okay, I haven't heard anything about that. Of course, I don't really interact with Trimet employees anymore, so I only see what's on the Twitter, on the news releases, and what they're talking about. But I haven't heard anything or seen anything about Trimet town halls internally. So, but he'll report back, so we'll hear about it. For what it's worth from the the board. Oh shit! Sorry. The board meetings are contrived. Get out of there. Here we go. So,
and actions that will come from that. So, unless there's any questions on that specific piece, I'll move to the final part of the GM report, and that is really to welcome and introduce to you today, my first executive hire since being the general manager, and that's Mr. Roland Hoskins. So, if we just ask if you would stand, I think he's here in the audience. There he is. Roland is just a terrific hire. We're so pleased to have him here. He'll be joining us.
Yeah, these are all new characters now. Okay, all of these, there's people on the board that I know, but I mean, they don't count because they're sock puppets. But all these characters here now are all different from when I was working there. The executives are all different. The managers are all different. Well, Lyle was the same, but that Patrick Preacher, I believe he's the equivalent of Shelley Lomax. She's gone off into the sunset. I'm sure she's taking her little, she was making more than $200,000 a year when she left, so I'm sure she's got a nice fat pension. So these are all new people.
Starting April the 9th. However, he's already been doing outreach and meeting with some of the staff already, so he's an eager kind of guy, which is outstanding.
What's he going to do?
He has a great track record, both in the public and private sector. He brings more than 30 years of expertise in business management, labor relations, human resources, and also organizational development. He'll be overseeing a really capable team of directors and managers in the maintenance side of things, so he will be our new executive director of maintenance.
Oh, he's a maintenance
guy. He comes to us from just down the road in Eugene.
So what happened to the other guy, Mara?
Assistant general manager there at Lane Transit. So again, not to tie up time, so I do encourage you after the end of the meeting, please come up and introduce yourself to Roland. And unless
we're waving him up here.
Oh, come on up. Okay, let's do it now. Come on. I know you weren't, but you're a flexible guy.
Nice try, though.
Yeah. Nice try. So welcome to Roland Hoskins.
Thank you all, Chair Warner, and the rest of the board, and of course Mr. Kelsey and my new team mates. So really looking forward to everything. Wasn't prepared to come up here and talk today, but in general, I think that I'm really just kind of inspired, actually, about just the service, the level of commitment to service,
black man,
and serving. I really look forward to serving you all and my team, and just contributing in any way that I can. And gosh, I'm a little nervous. But just really thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to getting started and working with everybody that I get a chance to work with, collaborate with, whether it's people within my teams, the community members that I might be engaged with, other community partners and agency partners that I look forward to serving and working with as well. And in general, thank you.
Thank you, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
How about a snap?
Okay, he was assistant general manager of administration at Lane District, so he's brings expertise in labor relations, whatever the hell that. This whole idea of labor relations, it's just, I have a lot of problems with labor relations specialists. Because basically it's a job that manipulates the workforce. If they hired competent people in the first place, I've always been a big advocate for making the bus operator jobs truly professional and using the same method to hire bus operators as they use to hire executives, and that is they recruit somebody highly qualified, they give them $50,000 plus a year on a contractual basis, and they have that person in the seat instead of what they're doing now, which is hiring marginal people and hoping that you get somebody good. Now, I also know that one of the purposes of the public transportation industrial complex is to hire people that are basically unable to make a decent living for themselves anywhere else. But I think that's one of the failings of the American industrial complex, is that it doesn't hire good people in many respects. In the labor force is treated as the labor force rather than an actual valued member of the complex. It's an expendable member of the complex. That's a whole nother conversation. Let's go on. I'm sorry.
Synopsis of your background.
It's a very
Born, raised, just quickly.
just a very varied background from both public and private organizations that I've worked for, larger and smaller. I've had a couple of international businesses myself, and so it's just a nice blend, I think, of meeting the balance between the public side of serving. That's where my heart is, and then also just cutting my teeth on the private side and understanding the different types of approaches to the business.
That's a worrisome thing there, because the private sector is an unethical sector in the sense that it's only interested in profit, and there's really no room in public service for private thinking, in my opinion.
Business and
right.
how things work.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll get more later from you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming up. Appreciate it. We will come say hello. You're
right.
still around. Sure.
Thank you, Roland. And sorry, I know you weren't expecting to come up, but thank you. You did great.
It's part of the test.
It's part of the test, yes. So anyway, Mr. President, that concludes my report. And if you had any questions, happy to answer.
All right. Any other questions or comments by the board for the general item? Well, seeing none, before we move then right on the consent agenda, I am going to use my prerogative to ask that the board consider a non-agenda item, which is a resolution that has been drafted to recognize one of our transit riders who has a history with Trimet for a number of years, and that's Neil McFarland.
I thought that was
see in the audience. I think you all know that we had an opportunity to acknowledge his effort for Trimet and to abuse him a little bit.
Here's your,
a couple of weeks ago.
here's your typical. We did a great job. You did a great job. This is bullshit. Okay, because it's one-sided from the board perspective, not from the employee perspective, not from the rider perspective. It's bullshit. But this is what they do. But they like to congratulate themselves.
But the staff took the time to put together a resolution honoring Neil McFarland. There's no number, but as you can see, it's a lot of whereas.
Yeah.
It really talks about his work with the agency.
Go by. I don't want to hear
Tell
it.
us where your first trip is, by the way.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To make you all
Oh,
jealous, but
by the way, he got a what was it? $169,000 cash payout when he left. Of course, that mainstream media. Well, mainstream media is useless, especially in Portland. He got a big cash payout. He's got a $14,000 a month pension forever from Trimet. My opinion is he did a horrible job, and I know there's others that agree with me. Let's skip through this crap.
thank you all very much.
Sure, thank you, Neil.
If I could just take maybe one moment.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Never met a Mike he didn't like, I guess.
I'm out of practice, though,
Well,
but I
yeah,
promise it'll be less than 3 minutes. But I do want to particularly thank you for this honor of this resolution. I would say that one of the best things about my tenure, 27 years at Trimet, was my interaction with you as a Trimet board and, of course, your predecessors as well. You have brought wisdom and guidance and some
God.
pretty sharp and important questions.
All right, we don't need to listen to him. Go by. I don't want to hear his crap.
Enjoy Machu Picchu, right?
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, he'll go. Yeah, he'll go
All right.
travel the world now. Have whatever.
Let's move on then to the consent agenda. And items appearing on the consent agenda are considered to be routine. Now
Now go off with Fred Hansen and never be seen again. Take your riches and get the hell out of here.
and may be approved by the board. And the member of the board would
We're
like
not. We're going to skip through this.
For HB 2017. That also includes a 4.7% increase in bus service hours, which is significant. And other
4.7,
service
I don't-
improvements, as well as the implementation of the really important low-income fare program.
12
The
million.
budget also addresses essential capital maintenance and replacements, including the replacement of aging buses and the addition of new buses to meet service expansion needs, as well as the necessary repairs and refurbishments of our customer and operating facilities. Clearly a tremendous amount to do, but it's also tremendously exciting. It is consistent with pension policies adopted by the board in February of 2014. This budget also meets the board's strategic financial plan policies in the areas of fund balance, debt service, and service growth. It is also based on some major revenue assumptions, including the strong payroll tax growth, as well as continued support from a variety of federal sources. It does not include for this fiscal year to include a fare increase. The FY19 proposed budget, we believe, is balanced and complies with Oregon budget law, and that Trimet is committed to staying on course to achieve the fiscal stable future that's been able to achieve, and we need to keep up with our commitments to our employees, retirees, riders, and payroll taxpayers. Mr. President, that would conclude my comments.
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions for the general manager? Seeing none, I guess I would just make the comment that good piece of work, and I know that you've done a lot of outreach already to get input on the budget, but as you pointed out, this is not a done deal yet. We still have to go forward through processes, and we have some time before we adopt the budget. So we're still open for people making suggestions and input and providing testimony on our budget from this time on. But this does get us into the formal process with the TSCC, as you pointed out.
Yeah, correct.
All right, good, thank you. Well, with that then, is there a motion to approve Resolution 18-03-27?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 18-03-27, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion is approved unanimously. The next item is Resolution 18-03-28, which is authorizing the purchase of real property located at 3225 Southwest Barber Boulevard in Portland. Mr. General Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members of the board, I would like to call up Lance Ertz. I think he's here as well, in case you have supplemental questions on this recommendation. This resolution requests that the board authorize the acquisition of property in the Southwest Corridor project located at 3225 Southwest Barber Boulevard in Portland. The property is located direct.
See how they're moving forward? They don't have the funding for this, but it doesn't bother them in the least. that this isn't funded. They're just going full steam ahead, which means they're going to do it, whether they get, they're trying to get the taxpayers to pay for this, of course, because that's the easy way out. And of course, if they get the taxpayers to pay, then their pockets don't have to suffer at all. I mean, the current tax streams should be covering all of this. There should not be any more increases in taxes. Of course, they're going to try to get that out of the public. I don't know if they'll succeed. Hopefully they won't.
Directly below OHSU, the part at the top of the hill. It's necessary for construction of a pedestrian access between Barber and OHSU for the Southwest Corridor project.
Yeah, see,
Now, a little bit of background on this
just
property.
going forward, even without the money
It's
right
owned by a
now.
small Sephardic Jewish congregation and is home to their synagogue. Interestingly, the congregation moved to this location in the 1960s after the city of Portland acquired its previous location through the process of eminent domain. In the nearly 60 years since, much of the congregation has moved out of the area, and that's a problem because members are not supposed to be driving on the Sabbath.
Supposed to be able to walk.
Correct. Right. The congregation has been planning to move, but needs to sell its current site first. However, the future of the site as part of the Southwest Corridor would significantly and negatively impact the sale. The congregation has asked Trimet to purchase the property as a hardship acquisition, which is approved by the Federal Transit Administration. We agreed to a purchase price of $1.66 million, which is included in your FY 2018 project budget. We will also provide relocation benefits, which is required by the FTA. Following the sale, Trimet will lease the property back to the congregation until their new facility is built or until it is needed for the Southwest Corridor project, whichever comes first. The Southwest Corridor is currently at a 5 to 10% design stage. The construction expected to begin in 2021. Lance, unless you had any other comments, I turn it back to...
Yes, I just love the way
if you have any
they're
questions.
Questions?
barging forward with this without actually
I have a
having the money.
comment. A friend of mine was involved helping out the community, the members at synagogue. More than once he said how much he liked working with the staff here. So I'll pass that on.
Yippee.
There are actually a couple of representatives here today, Renee Ferreira and Ron Sidis. So.
Who's that guy?
Thank you. Yeah, yes, thanks. It went well.
Yeah, it seems like a very straightforward and beneficial solution for everybody to help them out. So I commend the staff for working with them to come up with this solution.
Thank you.
It's a good piece of work.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 18-0328? I hear a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, then all those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 18-03-28, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the motion is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all of you on this one.
Thank you.
Good piece of work.
Thanks, Lance.
All right. Let's move on to the third resolution, which is Resolution 18-03-29, which is authorizing a contract with Shetke Northwest Sales, Inc. for purchase of replacement and expansion vehicles for the provision of lift services. Very important.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This resolution requests that the board authorize the general manager
All right,
to execute a
it's
contract
just,
with Shetland Northwest Sales Incorporated for the purchase of
we don't need to-
replacement and expansion vehicles for the lift
Let's
paratransit.
move it along.
Yes.
It's not a question as much as a comment. I'm glad you acknowledged the email from Chris Walker. You know, we received it also, and it looked to me like his concerns were well-founded. So I'd just like to...
Wait, maybe we need to go back. Wait.
Our effectiveness of how many passengers we're carrying. So the cost side, the effectiveness side, the overall customer experience is better. They're about $30,000 less than the larger vehicle that they replace on the cost side of things. They're also cheaper to maintain beyond just the purchase price. And it's also easier for our mechanics to work with in terms of productivity. They have a tighter suspension and also, we believe, a smoother ride for our customers. I did receive one comment from a Chris Walker this morning.
Chris Walker.
That I do have asked Margot and Patrick Pricer to follow up on. I would like to understand that better. But overall, we do believe the customer experience is a better one for our riders. So we will follow up on that.
Well, what do you say?
The procurement before you today, though, is for 124 new lift vehicles over a 3-year period. Comprised of 109 vehicles would be part of the replacement, and 15 would be for expansion. You even heard comments on expansion this morning. Now, Trimet used the State of Oregon Department of Transportation's Public Transit Division price agreement for the procurement. That's quite a mouthful, which results in better pricing. So we have better buying power than we do, in essence. The proposed contract with Shetke Northwest Sales amounts to $9,072,000. And if approved, we will be awarded the contract. They were the only responsive firm that could provide the vehicles that met Trimet standards. The execution is contingent upon a successful pre-award Buy America audit that's required to ensure our compliance to the FTA Buy America provisions. And I suspect on these vehicles we'll most likely get about 200,000 miles, or about 6 years out of them for this new vehicle type. In the end, we believe it's a good investment. It's cost-effective in its life cycle approach, and believes enhance the customer experience. With that, this is recommended to you at the board.
Questions for the general manager or staff?